Hey, so I want to talk about heartbreak and how it leads to deeper levels of consciousness and a deeper self-love and a deeper trust in self. And basically just how it can clean you out, basically. I mean, when you mourn someone, I think you can find a new part of yourself. You sort of are forced to strip away all these illusions and all these things that you thought about how you can achieve happiness, how you can be fulfilled, just all these things. I think there's such a beauty in letting go and accepting. It's almost like a death, and in death there's always rebirth. And I think the more you die, the more you let these attachments, these old ego structures, these sort of ego graspings, the more you let them die, the more, freedom there is, I think. I think it's like, it's this feeling that manifests as like, I really think these ego structures that are dying off. And I think the last couple of days I've been crying, and I've been you have this feeling of suffocating almost, and it's like this pressure in your chest, and you really have nowhere to go, and it comes out, and when you finally let yourself cry about someone, like this girl I broke up with, and it's sort of really cathartic, and it's really hard, and it's really, you don't know when it's going to stop, but it's sort of like, within the tears, I know there's kind of this deeper, this sort of deeper gratefulness, this deeper like humility for life and all things, and like a deeper appreciation for the people that I love and the people that I really need, because I think I tend to isolate a lot. So it's like, you learn what's important, I think, and you learn a deeper trust in yourself, and there's just so many things. It's really complex, but it's sort of like surrendering to your heart and it's almost like those walls and those barriers of my heart are coming down, like they're crumbling and they're being destroyed, and it's painful, because if that's the way I've oriented to life up to now, with this sort of protection, and those were broken and they were brought down, and I learned, what's real love, and was I played, and did I let someone in? Did I think someone was authentic, and did I kind of let them play me a little bit? Or did I sort of let this attachment get me? And I think it's just this deeper love and gratefulness even for her, and like, what she allowed me to awaken to. The things I did feel were still valid, and they were still totally real, and just letting them go. And, even attractiveness and seeing about how that kind of blinds you a lot sometimes. And it can make you gloss over other things, but I think it's sort of this... It's like this deeper, it's like finding this deeper love in yourself. It's like just letting it all be incinerated, like those crying fits, and just releasing it. It feels like this deep and old, like cellular release of things, maybe not just of coming from the breakup, but I think I'm releasing a lot more than that, childhood traumas, whatever. But, I've learned about all these dreams I have about getting hunted and dying, and people are trying to steal my car, people are trying to steal my bike in these dreams. I have all these dreams with wading through water, like waist-high water. I've learned that's like an indication of wading through like heavy emotional content. But basically the part about I have these very violent dreams. I see people get killed in very violent ways, and it happens somewhat frequently, and a lot's changing in my life. And I think it's just, from what I've learned, it's all about ego dying. Parts of my ego dying that I consider precious. And they're dying off and they're getting killed, and they're sort of, it's painful, I guess, to let go. If that was my protection, that was my way, that was like my compass, or like my boat, those maybe those illusions or those structures or those defense mechanisms, that was like my way of navigating the world and feeling safe. And now when they're come crumbling down, it's like, it's this perfect yin yang. It's like I can sense the pain, but it's such a beautiful sadness. Like, it's such a beautiful feeling after you cry. It's almost like you feel new, you feel like naked, you feel like stripped down, almost like cleansed, when you really have those real, like, just crying in a way that's just like so like hysterical almost, and it's just so therapeutic for me. And it makes me grateful for everything. It makes me grateful to be alive and just like feel it. It's humbling. It's like I'm just human and I need help, and to be human is to have your heart broken over and over and over again. And you know, the people that can face this stuff in themselves and not jump into distraction, not jump into drugs, alcohol, even staying with codependent relationships, it's like then they suffer. You know, it's almost like this is the more loving way, and it's like this feeling of true surrender. You know, like if I had this idea, you know, that, well, you know, everyone just, I need her to want me because I need my ego to be petted, and it's just false, you know. You just realize you can't save everyone, and you can't, you know, be everyone's perfect whatever. It's just like, I don't know, it's a major cleansing thing for me. This crying when these emotions just come over me and I just kind of let it out. It's like this lifetime stuff. And I think it really allows you to get down to something much deeper than... you realize a new strength in yourself. I think it's like you kind of walk through the fire and then you're like, well, it's like you're emptied out. It's like you're de-rooted. Like these roots and these things that you've attached to are just ripped out. And you feel broken and you feel empty and you just kind of feel split in half. When you feel like you love someone and then they don't really, maybe you look back and, you know, find out that they didn't really feel it as deep a level as you, or it was kind of you know, it's not her fault, but maybe she was, you know, kind of couldn't see out of her ego prism either. You know, and I was kind of just more of like this soothing comfort object. I don't know. And that's sad in a way too. And it's like this thing where just like, stop taking things so personally. If she can't authentically and feel someone in this deep way, like maybe it's not meant to be. And maybe like in reality, she's kind of an angel, because even if we have our differences, we have this, we have that, fights, I mean, breaking up and letting it go and letting it die, it's still like, if she's been a catalyst and like she's been able to spark this awakening and this deep emotional release of crying and complete surrender, just kind of like, just being like, finally being like, I'm human, I need people, I don't have all the answers as much as I would like to think I do. You can't do it alone, you know, and you can't, not only do I need people, but I need people to share my love with, kind of, and you know, it's just, it reminds you what's important in life, you know, and it's just being there for people, you know, and it's just the only thing that matters, just being there for yourself and loving yourself, and just through it all, you know, through these fires and these, you know, it's like this, it just incinerates everything that's not you, you know? When you lose something that you identified so much with and you thought, okay, if she loves me, then maybe that could make me complete. Maybe that could be the thing that's really the answer. That could be the thing that makes life full and this and that. And you learn that I don't really think you can get through that through another person. I mean, you can when you've done the work on yourself and you've, but it's because I've been suffered, like I've suffered and I've had such a low sense of, like a low self-esteem and sense of self my whole life. I've always had that unconscious weakness to look for someone else to complete me and say, I'm okay, you're okay, Peter, like, I accept you, because I'm so used to orienting towards the world, thinking I'm not worthy, I don't really have anything to contribute, I don't have this, I don't have that. I think it's such a blessing, the fact that I can be grateful for her and just like the awakenings that she sparked in me, and just like that she did show me a part of my heart and like reflected it, and it was so deep and painful that it's like it just cleansed, I don't know, these waves, this like wave and avalanche of emotions came out of me, and they just this fire just burned up it's like burning up everything that is not you, everything that is not true to you, and the truest you dies. That's just the simplest way of putting it. And like, where remains is you. It's like you're standing in the ashes, and like that's where you just decide to grow up from you grow from nothing, like it's rebirth. It's rebirth in a truer, stronger form, truer to love, stripped away of attachment. And it's a blessing, and I know it is, and I know it's really, it reminds you what's real, and it reminds you that what you should be willing to set boundaries for, and it reminds you that there's a lot of masks, and there's a lot of ways to be deceived in romantic relationships too. So you got to be on the lookout, and you got to value yourself enough to know that you have a lot of precious things to share, and maybe not everyone is deserving of that, and there was a lot of great things shared, but maybe it's not what's true, and what's sort of what's mutual ego stroking. And it's just, there's so many things in retrospect you want to beat yourself up about, because you're like, I wish I had better intuition, I wish I could have spotted it here and there, but you can't. You can just forgive, and you can hone it and be like, this is never gonna happen again, where I get completely deceived, or almost love someone who doesn't really love me or see me or feel me for the right reasons, or really isn't on the same wavelength, but then I create a story of lies to justify it, and maybe feel like, create a story in which, she has to be the one, and she has to be the one, while I'm kind of unconsciously glossing over things. So it's like, I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful. I mean, so much crying this whole last week, but it's so beautiful. It's like birthing this new, it's like shedding layers, and just painfully, but like beautifully, like just this beautiful humbleness. Like, I need people, and I'm one with everything, and everything is dependent on each other. And it's just like, I can find a truer love in myself after this, and I can find a truer love and never repeat that mistake again, and I can learn the sacred, like, amazing lessons from this, and I can thank her and move on. So thanks.